Welcome to the Cutmaker Podcast, your home for all of your PGA bets and DFS plays. My name is Jeff Seeley, aka Cutmaker Jeff. You can find me on Twitter at Cutmaker Jeff, and you can find us, the podcast, on Twitter at Cutmaker Pod. This week we are talking about the Travelers. We're in Cromwell, Connecticut, TPC River Highlands, and really just kind of an interesting week. It is an elevated event coming off the backs of a major. So it's going to be a good field, but a really interesting course in that it is pretty easy. It's really pretty easy. And you've seen a lot of different things work here. Obviously, this is where Jim Furyk famously had a 59 a few years ago. So an easy track, but you've got to hit fairways, hit greens, and make putts. And I know that sounds pretty obvious. Like most weeks in any tournament, you want to do those things. But this week is specifically, don't miss fairways. Because you got to score. I mean, somebody's going to be 20 under in this thing. Somebody's going to go low. Would not be at all surprised to see somebody shoot in the low 60s, shoot a 60, 61. There's going to be good scores. You got to make sure you're capitalizing on your scoring opportunities. So our world esteemed producer, Tony, is going to partner with me on the pod today and talk through this a little bit. Tony, coming off a major here, maybe a letdown for some guys, a la Rory, who had a meltdown, a la who else? Ricky Fowler, who had a meltdown. What are your thoughts this weekend in general about the Travelers this week? And is there anybody that stands out to you early on of like guy you would never bet on?
I think there's a couple guys who kind of fit that bill, but now one of the interesting things that I saw earlier today and kind of clicked for me was some of the guys who, with this being an elevated event, who normally wouldn't play this event. John Rahm talked about that earlier. So some of those guys who maybe are feeling that fatigue, that burnout from not only major season, but we're getting into 11, 12 now elevated events that we've been in around there, give or take one or two. So those guys who are already kind of mentioning that stuff. Rory mentioned it a while ago, even though he's played well here in the past. Like I said, Rahm mentioned it in his press conference here. Those guys I'm going to be staying away from. Ricky Fowler, love seeing him play well recently, but coming off of that Sunday, you got to think that there's a bit of a letdown with this tournament as well. So those are a few guys that I would kind of be fading, shying away from this week.
So, when I look at the top of the odds board and DFS here, really, there's really six guys, right? It's Scheffler, Rory, Rahm, Xander, Cantlay. Look, I mean, if you said to me that Scotty Scheffler is going to finish fifth for, I don't know, the 87th consecutive week, and it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it'd be 6 consecutive weeks, I'd believe you. I mean, his tee to green is phenomenal. I think he makes for a solid DFS play. He finishes top 5 again. He probably pays off his value. I think he's a terrible bet at 6-1, but I suppose you could. I don't want to look up the odds here. I haven't even looked up the odds for him on top 10. I guess I can look that up and see. Might be a decent top 10 bet or even top 5 because, as we just said, he seems to do that all the time.
Scotty's minus 120 in top 10 right now.
There you go. So that's actually a really good bet, to be honest with you. I don't mind that because I think it'd be an upset if he wasn't top 10 at this point. But yeah, guys that I like. I mean, Xander really jumps out to me. A 16-1 is not a great number. I wouldn't necessarily bet him at that number, but really good DFS play, I think. Grades out top in my model this week, so I'm interested in him. Interested in Victor Hovland, who you can get at 18. I actually parlayed Victor Hovland to win with Florida to win in baseball tomorrow, and ended up boosting this up, getting like 30-1. So I'm interested in Hovland there. And then there's a bunch of guys. I mean, I'm out on Finau. I'm out on Morikawa, just chronically out on Morikawa. Fleetwood. I won some money with the guys from Run Pure when I was on their show betting on Fleetwood. Took Fleetwood over Morikawa. Look how closely priced they are this week. Fleetwood, man, he's been playing unbelievable golf. You just talk about a guy who cannot close, cannot win a tournament. So I think Fleetwood is in play in DFS, probably a pretty low ownership. Cannot bet him outright. Wyndham Clark is really interesting. Nobody's going to play him this week, right? Like it's the narrative. And no one's going to play him. Now it's a super short course. Doesn't mean he can't. His irons aren't terrific. Wedge play isn't terrific. Probably not a good course to play Wyndham, but no one's going to play him in DFS. Fowler, I think, will probably be popular again. Man, look at this. How about this? Justin Thomas is 66-1 this week, Tony. 60. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. And let's look at his last couple events. Miscut, 65th. He was actually 14th at the Wells Fargo, which is feels like forever ago. And then 25th at the Heritage. His results here have not been good. I mean, best of 36, 66-1. When in the world do you think you'd see a 66-1 on Justin Thomas?
So a guy like that with, the potential to not only win a lot, but to go low. When you see a number, obviously the form is just crap. He's even mentioned that as well. When you see a number that high for a guy like that, is that something that you'll throw, a quarter unit on it or something like that, or, a couple dollars, or it's just his game is so lost, you're shying away?
No, I mean, I wouldn't bet him. I think if you're going to invest in Justin Thomas, you're doing it in DFS, right? And you're doing a situation where you're taking a high leverage spot. You're going to take a bunch of other guys who are maybe popular, who you really like, because he's going to be unowned. I mean, and again, like another guy who's in relatively bad form. I say that's not necessarily true because he played well at the Memorial. Didn't play well at the U.S. Open. Who's expected to is Max Homa.
Yeah.
He played well. I guess a few weeks ago, finished 9th, and he had 55th at the PGA. He's got some mixed results. Homa has never played well here. I think he'll be low owned. Remember a guy named Sanjay M? Remember that guy? I mean, 50-1 this week now. 41st. Missed the cut at the U.S. Open. 41st Memorial. I mean, a couple of miscuts after miscut the PGA. But boy, he had back-to-back top tens. Wells Fargo, Zurich, and Heritage. Okay form here. Another guy I think is a terrific DFS play. I think Hideki's going to be popular in DFS and betting this week. I'm out on him. Oh, God, this is really hard. What are you going to do with Jason Day this week, Tony?
First, I'm going to make sure he's teeing off on Thursday. No illnesses or anything creep up. I don't know. Again, coming off of the U.S. Open, maybe
how about this? How about this? He had in his last 5 events, he has 4 missed cuts and a win. But his history here, he has 3 top 12s in his last 5 visits. I mean, so he plays terrific here. I think he's a really interesting. I think he's a terrible bet. Really interesting DFS play at a tournament, low ownership. Thigala took second here last year in fairly decent form. I could see maybe playing him. I think he's not a bad bet. He's 70-1. That's a good price. I could get on board with some Thigala at 70-1. I actually like that. That's pretty interesting. Shane Lowry, yeah, I mean he'd be okay. I mean 66-1. I'm not for or against it. He'd be fine either way. I think the most popular play in DFS and one of the most popular bets this week is going to be Tom Kim.
Yeah,
Everybody saw Tom Kim make a run. I think he's going to be wildly popular in the DFS streets. So I'm probably not going to play him. And it's all based on, it's so funny. He made a run at the U.S. Open, right? He was shit at the Memorial. He was shit at the PGA. He had a good run. He was decent at Zurich, but that was a freaking team event. I mean, I don't know. I mean, everybody's going crazy over Tom Kim now. 35-1. I'm out. I'm not a buyer on Tom Kim, but guy right next to him, 3 guys right next to him I'm interested in. Boy, Siwoo Kim, Tony, looks awesome. I mean, he looks awesome. And, I mean, Siwoo was 39th at the U.S. Open. Not bad. But 4th Memorial, I mean, gosh, he's again, 2nd to Byron Nelson, 7th in Zurich. He's got an 11th place finish here a couple years ago, a 26 as well, 50-1 for Siwoo Kim. Big fan of that. 90-1 Adam Scott. How about this? Adam Scott, prior to the U.S. Open, took a top 10 in 3 of his last 4 events.
Yeah.
Nobody realizes that. Nobody's going to play him. I think he is a terrific play in DFS. 90-1 bet. Sure. I'll take Adam Scott 90-1. Finished 13th here 2 years ago. I'm in on him. Russell Henley is going to be wildly popular. I think this is Russell Henley chalk week in DFS. And they're going to look at his recent. I mean, there's lots to like. He's played well here, played well at the U.S. Open, 3 straight top 20s coming in. He's going to grade well on everybody's model. I mean, there's a lot to like about Russell Henley. Probably a better bet than he is a DFS play. Keegan Bradley's 100-1. Keegan Bradley has a 2nd place finish here 4 years ago and a 19th place last year. Keegan Bradley's 100-1. I mean, I'm interested in that. The GOAT, Harris English, is finally getting some respect this week, Tony.
There you go, your boy.
The GOAT is finally getting some respect. I mean, all it took was an 8th place finish at the U.S. Open. Again, this is an event he won 2 years ago. Did you watch that playoff a few years ago, Tony?
Yeah.
You remember this? Him and Kramer Hickok went like 8 extra holes. It was insane. So, yeah, I mean, Harris English, I think he's going to be very, very popular in DFS. I mean, I like Harris. And I probably, if I bet him, just because I play him. But Harris English, yeah, I mean, very much in play. Connors, you could make a case for him. I'm out. I'm going to bet Denny McCarthy this week. This seems like a really, really, really good opportunity to bet on Denny McCarthy. Good form, obviously elite putting, good wedges. Has not played well here. Played here 5 times. Has not played here well. I'm hoping that keeps his ownership down. I'm going to play some Denny McCarthy. What do you think about Brian Harman this week, Tony? I mean, this guy has 4 top 10s in his last 5 trips.
He's playing well. You got to think one of those will pay off, or it's either he's going to pay off and win, or that was his peak for a guy like Brian Harman.
Can Brian Harman win a golf tournament in 2023?
I mean, everyone will go back to what he went toe to toe with DJ 3 or 4 years ago, whatever it was in Canada. So in 2023, I don't know. I would stay away from that. I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, but I think he'll be. I mean, he's not a terrible top 10 play. He's capable. Obviously, done it a million times. I think he's a terrible DFS play, so I think he'll be very popular. But I think he's a decent top 10 bet. I'd have some interest in that. I'll tell you who is disgustingly priced, who I'm absolutely going to bet. What do you think the odds are in Seamus Power without looking?
Seamus Power, give me plus. Give me 120-1.
250-1. Dude, Seamus Power's good.
Yeah.
I mean, he is like top 20 in my model. He has 2 top 20s in his last 5 events. He's a 25th and a 19 here in his last 2 visits. Like, he is plus 450 top 20. I absolutely love that. No, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to play Seamus Power in DFS. 250-1 is criminally mispriced. Great bet. Love the top 20. I'm going to throw a couple bucks on Seamus Power, 250-1. Seamus Power can win a golf tournament. I like that. Aaron Rice, fine. Cameron Davis can win a golf tournament. He's 200-1. Probably not going to play him, but I don't hate it. Griot, fine. Kind of shitty results here. I'm out on him. Man, we had our Eric Barnes on last week and talked about his guy Eric Cole. Eric Cole came through for us with a top 40. I bet on him top 40. Ended up finishing 39th. Eric Cole's on really good form, Tony.
Yeah. It was good to see him those first 2 days there kind of creeping around. So yeah, for him to cash out with the top 40 was good. It's always good when we have guys on like that, and just you're pulling for them, you're rooting for their buddies and everything like that. So I was happy to see that.
You know who's going to be probably really popular again this week? Austin Eckroat's only 100 to 1. How is Seamus Power 250 to 1 and Austin Eckroat's 100? I mean, Austin Eckroat's a good player, but he's not. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me?
Yeah, I feel like, and you can tell me if this is a new, someone who's newer to the betting game kind of thought, but is that one of those things where somebody's like dropped a bunch of money on him or something like that and kind of moved a line, or is that there's just no rhyme or reason for it?
Well, no, I mean, the rhyme and the reason is he just took 10th at the U.S. Open, right? So it's recency bias. So, I mean, I think they're looking at it. And again, he hasn't played a ton of golf. He's a young, kind of one of the young guns. I mean, looking at, took second Corn Ferry Championship last year, has had some decent results, right? Took fifth in Punta Cana, T2 at the Byron Nelson, just took top 10 in the U.S. Open. They got 30th at Memorial, 16th at the Charles Schwab. I mean, the guy's got talent. I can see that. Played well in the Corn Ferry. I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, and he's going to be popular this week. I just, I just don't see that much. I'd still take Seamus Power. I don't know if I take Seamus Power in a head-to-head in a matchup, but at that price difference, yeah, I mean, that's a huge difference. Patrick Rogers, Patrick Rogers is always interesting because he can make birdies. He's an interesting top 20 bet, interesting DFS play. Another guy who's 250 to 1, the GOAT KH Lee. I mean, KH Lee has won twice on tour in the last 3 years, albeit the same tournament. But I mean, KH Lee has 2 top 20s here. He finished 8th at the Wells Fargo. KH Lee is 250 to 1. Another guy who's a great top 20 play at plus 450 or so. I mean, I think those are my bombs. Going to be my bombs this week is going to be freaking Seamus Power and KH Lee at asinine 250 to 1. That is pretty crazy. Andrew Putnam's fine. I mean, he's fine. Justin Suh, man, I'm starting to love Justin Suh. This guy is good. He's such a good putter. He's really good. God, I like him. I like him a lot. Kitayama's fine. Taylor Moore has really kind of fallen off after kicking ass for a while. He's fallen off. But Zayden Hoot's a guy who's like going to be 25th or something. They can't win. How about this? Without looking at his win price, what do you think Tom Hoge is?
700 to 1.
Come on, man. Come on. He's 300 to 1.
Okay.
Which is almost as bad. Tom Hoge is 300 to 1. Tom Hoge is in terrible form.
Yeah.
He has not done anything for a while. He has not performed professionally, especially well here. But I might throw $5 on Tom Hoge at 300 to 1 just because he's 300 to 1. I'll tell you a guy who has played well here, who is really going to be interesting. Bo Hostler. What do you think about Bo Hostler? What do you think about Bo Hostler in general? And if I had a gun to your head, he's priced right next to another guy who's super interesting, who I love to play. Bo Hostler, Sepp Straka. Between those two, Tony, who are you taking this week?
I got to go Sepp Straka. I feel like Bo Hostler, I mean, 10 years ago now, he was the darling, made it to the U.S. Open and all that kind of stuff as a kid. But I kind of feel like he kind of has some of that just untapped potential. And Sepp's been playing pretty decent golf recently. So and a head-to-head between those two, I'm definitely going Sepp.
So yeah, I mean, Hostler had two top 10s back to back at Mexico and then at a team event in Zurich, and 24th a few weeks ago. He's made a bunch of cuts. But yeah, man, Sepp's been hot. I mean, yeah, he didn't make the cut at the U.S. Open, but before that, 16th, 29th, 7th, and 3 straight events. Sepp has a top 10 here as well. I'm in on Sepp. Love Sepp this week. Brendan Todd has played well here in the past. He's 250 to 1. Adam Schenk, one of the guys, another guy who Eric Barnes talked about last week and missed the cut at the U.S. Open and really has not played well here. I would play Schenk, but I'm off him just because his course history sucks and I'm out on him. Man, this is crazy to me, Tony. I must have been like asleep at the wheel or something here. Would you believe me if I told you that CT Pan has back-to-back top 5s coming in?
Absolutely.
No, you wouldn't. Right.
No.
And here listen to this kind of run of golf. So he went in November, missed the cut at the Worldwide Technology, was back down to Korn Ferry. So played in the Club Car Championship Korn Ferry in March, missed the cut at the RBC Heritage, missed the cut at the Wells Fargo, 4th at the Byron Nelson, and 3rd at the RBC Canadian a few weeks ago. Out of nowhere, CT Pan figures out how to play golf again and is just lighting the world on fire. Boy, I don't know if anybody's going to play him. He's really interesting. He took 2nd here. I mean, gosh, I'm sorry. No, he didn't. He's never made the cut here. He's made the cut once, I guess. He's missed the cut 4 of his last 5 times here. JT Poston, I was looking at, took 2nd here. Another guy who's right here, I'm going to play this week for sure. I like Nate Lashley. I think he's a really good top 40 bet. I'll have to look up what he is. Man, Nate Lashley is in good form. 25th year last time. He's a great top 40 bet on an MGM or something where you don't where ties pay in full. Tony, I'm hearing some buzz about Mark Hubbard this week. You hearing any Mark Hubbard buzz this week?
I have heard a little bit, especially with DFS, doing some work with the Tour Junkies as well, and DB from the Tour Junkies is he likes Mark Hubbard in a cash lineup for DFS this week.
Yeah, and I think you can see why. I mean, solid history here, cheap price. I think Mark Hubbard's a really good DFS play, and he's probably not a bad top 20 bet. I think Mark Hubbard is good in both. I mean, I know he's going to be popular. That's why DB said cash, because he's going to be popular. You don't want to be too overweight on a popular 6,900 guy in a tournament. But yeah, I think he's a terrific cash play this week. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But man, I think Nate Lashley is a really good pivot in a tournament. Who else are we looking at here? I mean, Kevin Streelman. Man, decent form. Has a couple top 20s recently. Man, he's played well here. He's interesting. I would take a look at some shares of Kevin Streelman. What do you think about Ches Reavie? Ches Reavie's probably another guy people are going to play in cash.
Yeah, I'd probably bounce off of Ches. I'm not super high on him. Again, one of those guys who I kind of feel like has a lot of the potential is always there. Hasn't really tapped into it much. So I'm usually off of Ches.
Okay, so they're 2 guys next to each other. Ches Reavie or Nick Hardy? Which one would you play this week in a matchup?
I'd probably get Nick Hardy.
Let me give you the case for Nick Hardy. He just took 20th at the U.S. Open.
Yep.
He played with Davis Riley. They won the Zurich a month or 2 ago. And he finished T8 here last year, tied with Ches Reavie.
No, yeah. I feel like you got to go with Nick Hardy there.
Yeah, I kind of think so too, right? You got to just go with talent at some point. I'm trying to find this. Yeah, he's right here. T8. Last year, what was this? Holy Christ. All right, so Travelers last year, he gained 5.39 strokes in the short game. So he's putted really well. Tee to green, I mean, he just played well last year. I mean, he played well here. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think next to Ches Reavie, he will be the less popular play. I think he's a terrific pivot from Ches in DFS. Have you heard? I mean, this is like Ryan Moore like probably talked about too. I'm sure some people have talked about him. Ryan Moore grades out great. Has had some good run recently. A couple good tournaments recently. He's played well at this. Excuse me. Played well at this course. There's your 750 to 1. Ryan Moore is 750 to 1 this week, and is only 6,200 on DraftKings. So he's basically free. If you're playing tournaments, I think you have to have some Ryan Moore.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like he could be that kind of spark in your lineup. Somebody, like you said, low owned, and with that low price, that could be a good leverage play there.
Another guy who's I was really very popular until the U.S. Open. What do you think about Carson Young? Have you noticed this guy at all? I mean, he's been playing really good golf lately. Looking at his last couple events, he's prior to the U.S. Open, 43rd, 21st, 14, missed a cut, 15, missed a cut, 19, bunch of top 20s, really good results. What are your thoughts in general on Carson Young?
I don't know. I can't say I know a whole lot about him. So yeah, I don't want to can't really give you anything on him. Yeah, I don't know. I would kind of lean towards the expert, lean towards you to maybe convince me to throw him in something, whether it be a top 20, top 40, or a DFS lineup.
Okay, well let's talk about this then. So let's look at his last 10 events. 2, 4, 6, 8. We'll go 9 events. He has a T19 at the RBC Heritage, where ball striking was elite, his putting was decent. He took, I mean, his chipping just must suck because his putting is good, so he must just really suck at chipping. He's gained with wedges almost every week. Off the tee is fine, but man, he gains with his wedges, gains with his putter. Now this is a guy who I think we want to play. Man, we want to play this guy in DFS. We want to play this guy top 20. He is 600 to 1. Can you look up Carson Young top 20 real quick and see what his price is? I'm curious. I bet it's probably like 10 to 1.
On DraftKings, I've got it at DraftKings. I got it at plus 2,500.
25 to 1. Top 20.
Yep.
Wow, I love that. That is my favorite bet of this tournament. 25 to 1, top 20. That is.
I'm sorry, top awesome. 10. Top 10. 25 to 1, top 10.
Okay.
Make more sense.
Okay. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Plus 900, top 20.
Plus 900 top. Okay. Still terrific play. Top 20, I don't like. Top 10, I don't like as much, but top 20, I think that's a fantastic play. So yeah, that's definitely a play I'll be making. Another guy's interesting is Ben Martin. I'm going to probably play a little bit of him. Just some decent form, couple top 10s, 3 top 10s in his last 10 events. So I'll have a little bit of him as well. But in general, guys, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of ways to attack this thing this week. And I'm honestly using a combination of, I built a model balancing out recent and long-term form. I looked at the last, say, 8 or 9 tournaments, and then I looked at course form. I mean, really everything this week. And I really looked at fairways, approach, and putting. Like, those are the 3 things I built my model out with. As I mentioned, Xander graded out 1 in my model. Hovland was 2. I probably prefer Hovland to 2 in a bet, and I trust him to win a golf tournament over there more than I do Xander. But yeah, man, down the board this week, Tony, there's all kinds of, Seamus Power, KH Lee, great value in betting markets. Carson Young, interesting stuff. All right, well, Tony, I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm going to say my pick to win this week is going to be Victor Hovland. But I think a lot of top 20 plays. Who's your pick to win this week?
I think I've picked him before on the show, but I'm going to go Tony Finau. I think a little bounce back from the U.S. Open, and I'm going to ride Finau. He kind of got hot around this time last year too, so see if he can keep that momentum going.
All right. Well, yeah, he's 32nd U.S. Open after kind of coming back from the dead after a few duds. Tony Finau, all right. Tony Finau, 30-1. I parlayed Victor Hovland with Florida, getting me about 30-1. So, we'll hope for the best here and see what we can do. Guys, thanks for joining us this week, as always. You can find me, as I said, at Cutmaker Jeff. You can find our podcast at Cutmaker Pod. Also, join our Telegram channel. You can find every time we update the website. So we have tournament plays, we have second round plays, third round plays, final round plays, head-to-head matchups. We have live outrights we make. We played Wyndham Clark on Sunday morning this past week at 3.5 to 1. Yeah, that's not like anything amazing, but point is a lot of people were on a lot of the other guys. We weren't. We played Wyndham Clark, got that done, and ended up taking what wasn't a great week and making it fairly decent. So I think it's really important to be able to bet live in golf and find values everywhere you can. So again, check us out at Cutmaker Pod. Find me at Cutmaker Jeff. You'll find the link for our Telegram channel on there, and that's the best ways to find out when we update everything and what we bet live. Thanks again, everyone, and we will talk to you guys next week.